All right, let's talk about something that can be a real headache for coders: fine needle aspiration, or FNA. It's a super common procedure, but getting the billing just right? Wow, that can feel like walking through a minefield. So today, we're going to clear it all up and make sure you get paid correctly every single time. So be honest. When you see an FNA pop up on a report, do you feel totally 100% confident about what to do, especially when they throw in imaging guidance or maybe even another biopsy? If you've ever felt even a tiny bit of, uh-oh, let me just double check that, then you are in exactly the right place. And that's our whole goal here. We're going to break down all those official, complicated CPT guidelines into rules that are actually simple and easy to remember. I promise, by the end of this quick explainer, you'll be able to handle even the trickiest FNA scenarios no problem. Okay, first things first. To really get FNA coding right, you've got to know what it isn't. And that all starts with understanding the huge difference between an FNA and a core needle biopsy. I know they sound alike, but trust me, in the coding world, they are completely different animals. And here it is, laid out plain and simple. Think of it like this. An FNA uses a super fine, skinny needle to suck up just a few cells. The lab's basically looking at those cells one by one. But a core biopsy, that's a bigger needle taking out a whole chunk of tissue, a solid piece. The lab looks at the structure of that tissue. So it really just boils down to this: cells versus tissue. That's the core difference you have to remember. All right, listen up. If you only take away one thing from our chat today, please make it this next part. This is the golden rule. It's the master key that unlocks all of FinLi coding. Seriously, everything else we talk about builds on this one simple idea. And you know what's so great about it? It is so simple. It just cuts right through all the confusion and gives you a solid place to start. You ready? The magic number is 1. You report the FNA code once per lesion that's sampled in a single visit. It doesn't matter if the doctor made 3 passes into that same spot. Nope. It's one unique lesion, one code. That's it. This is the absolute foundation of FNA billing. So we've got our one code per lesion rule down. Now let's add another layer to this: imaging guidance. This right here is where so many costly mistakes happen. And you know why? Because a lot of people just don't realize what's already included in those main FNA codes. Just take a look at this table. It's all right there. Those main CPT codes for FNA, they already have the imaging guidance built right in. That means you should never, ever bill for, say, an ultrasound guidance code separately with your FNA code. It's already paid for. It's bundled. If you try to bill for it separately, it's just going to get denied every single time. Okay, makes sense. One code for one lesion. But what if the doctor aspirates 2 lesions, or 3, in the same session? Aha! This is where we need to talk about add-on codes and modifiers. Knowing when to use them is absolutely critical. Think of it like a little decision-making flowchart. Step 1, code the first lesion. Simple enough. Now, for that second lesion, you have to ask one question: did they use the same kind of imaging? If the answer is yes, you just grab the right add-on code. Easy. But if the answer is no, say they used ultrasound for the first lesion and CT for the second, then you do something different. You use the primary FNA code again, but you slap a modifier 59 on it. That's your signal to the insurance company that says, hey, this was a totally separate procedure. Okay, you ready for the final boss? This is probably the trickiest scenario you're going to run into. What do you do when the doctor performs an FNA and a core biopsy in the same visit? It all comes down to one simple question: were they working on the same lesion or different ones? Let's break this down. Over on the left, imagine they did both the FNA and the core biopsy on the very same spot, using the same imaging. The guidance work overlaps, right? So you code the FNA and you code the core biopsy, but you do not bill separately for the core biopsy's imaging guidance. Now look to the right. What if they're on different lesions? Now they're totally separate procedures. In that case, you report both procedures and their imaging, using that trusty modifier 59 to show they're distinct. Let's get really specific about using modifier 59 here, because this is important. If you've got 2 separate lesions, but you use the same type of imaging for both, like ultrasound for both, you only put the modifier 59 on the core biopsy's imaging code. But if you use different imaging for each, like ultrasound for one, CT for the other, then you need to put a modifier 59 on each of the imaging codes to show they were truly separate guidance events. Whew! Okay, that was a lot, I know. We moved fast. So let's bring it all home with a super simple checklist. Think of this as your new best friend for making sure your F&A coding is always perfect. All right, here's your cheat sheet. First, the golden rule: one code per lesion per session. Second, don't you dare bill for that bundled imaging separately. Third, use your add-on codes for extra lesions, but only if they used the same guidance. Fourth, Modifier 59 is your hero for showing procedures are separate and distinct. And finally, don't double dip on the imaging if you're working on the same exact lesion. Nail these points and you're golden. So as you head back to your coding queue, ask yourself, which one of these common mistakes are you going to eliminate, starting today? Because when you apply these rules, you're not just being a great coder, you're protecting your practice's revenue. Thanks for hanging out with me.